you've read and crossed out line as well, so I can clean that up. So
yeah, I've deleted the ones I don't want, so anything that's still in there is good to go. Like I was expecting it yesterday.
You may just be tuning in to the federal government's Jobs and Skills Summit tonight for the first time.
It's not been a big night of sleep, unfortunately. Isn't it 6:50 for 7?
But for Treasurer Jim Chalmers, the process of consulting, steering conversations, shaping an agenda and managing expectations has been going on in earnest for weeks.
I think I'm doing all TV this morning, and then Katie Gallagher's doing a much better job than me on radio. It's one of those days where there's going to be too much content, you know, like drinking at the firehouse kind of stuff.
Today has started well if the purpose of gatherings like this one is to get people to talk to each other and achieve some unity of purpose between the government, business, unions and the broader community.
It's been pretty full on. All right, let's do it.
As we've learned, I think, a low unemployment number doesn't by itself solve everything. But with unemployment at a near 50-year low, we should consider this once in a 50-year opportunity to make sure a full employment economy can deliver what we need it to for our people. It's not just a number or some kind of theoretical concept. It should mean jobs which allowed people to build security and dignity in their lives.
Chalmers set out the policy task. His Prime Minister had set out the political ambition to a room of representatives of almost all Australians, with the notable exception of the Leader of the Federal Opposition.
It's my great hope that this Jobs and Skills Summit marks the beginning of a new culture of cooperation, a new focus on working together to deal with the urgent challenges that our economy is facing.
Beautiful! And you'd have to say it was all looking pretty good by lunchtime. Big business and unions agreeing on the need to extend paid parental leave to 26 weeks as one step to improving women's participation in the workforce. The announcement of cooperation between the federal and state governments to jointly fund 180,000 free TAFE places next year alone at a cost of over $1 billion. And significantly, by late morning, there were signs that all the major employer bodies, the unions and the government appeared to be making substantial headway on a major and long-term stumbling block in the industrial relations debate, the so-called Better Off Overall test.
We have been so heartened and energised and encouraged by the willingness that you have already shown to give a little. We've already made substantial progress. We've got a big chance here.
Industrial Relations Minister Tony Burke outlined a range of immediate legislative changes to the Fair Work Act. Notably, this included
removing unnecessary complexity for workers and employers, including making the Better Off Overall test simple, flexible and fair.
The beginnings of an agreement on the so-called Better Off Overall test, or BOOT, was an early positive sign from the summit. But the BOOT, which aims to ensure that the majority of workers are better off from an agreement, is just one part of the current enterprise bargaining system which everyone agrees isn't working and certainly doesn't cover large and growing parts of the economy.
Since 2013, there has been an almost terminal decline in the lodgement and coverage of new enterprise agreements in the private sector. It is critically endangered in highly feminised sectors like aged care and childcare.
The ACTU and some employer groups have agreed at least some sectors of the economy need to be able to move from individual enterprise bargaining to multi-employer bargaining.
Well, welcome to the non-controversial part of the summit.
Let's be really clear. Arguments to keep our bargaining system in the past and only enterprise-based are arguments to cement women's low pay for generations to come.
But not everyone.
Let me just say we're not convinced of the need for radical or risky reform. Part of the issue is that the ACTU to date has provided little detail on their proposal, and employers around the country are deeply concerned about what may be envisaged for a number of reasons.
The Minister is trying to find a way through and signalled the government will move soon to change the enterprise bargaining laws.
Removing unnecessary limitations on access to single and multi-employer agreements. allowing businesses and workers who already successfully negotiate enterprise-level agreements to be able to do so without those changes interfering with it. We've just had a conversation in there that would have been impossible 6 months ago. We've gone from a situation where everybody's in their corners throwing rocks to a situation where people are making a genuine effort to see how we can work together.
If there seemed to be one area where there was a lot more harmony, it was on the subject of more access to childcare, though the details and many of the broader issues affecting women's participation in the workforce, outlined on 7:30 last night, are still to be discussed.
I can't help reflect that if untapped women's workforce participation was a massive iron ore deposit, we would have governments falling over themselves to give subsidies to get it out of the ground.